Hey, Andrew, guess what?
What's that, Sam?
Nikishin finally got his first NHL goal.
Yes, he did.
Oh, Andrew, I was so happy when he scored. I probably watched that play probably like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, an absolutely beautiful shot and a very smart play for a young player, finding all of that open space in the slot, and great pass by Aho, and the kid is off to an amazing start.
He really is. So, yeah. So let's just go ahead and get some podcast news out of the way with, like we usually do for every episode. First of all, we have a great partnership with SeatGeek. You get $20 off your first purchase if you use promo code Caniac Reports, all one word. It is a great deal if you're trying to save money on some tickets, whether it's to a hockey game, comedy show, or concert. And there is also the Caniac Report Plus for those who are listening on Apple. If you're wanting to find another way to listen to our episodes ad free, well, there is your opportunity. And another thing, too, for you guys know, this survey for the Caniac Report ended Friday. So this week, keep up to date with your emails as by the end of this week, I will have sent out the free $25 Amazon gift card. We have over 50 responses from you guys. So that is awesome. Thank you guys so much for filling that survey out. I really, really do appreciate it. And remember, if you like this episode, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube so you never miss another episode. And please leave a rating and a review if you're listening to us wherever you get your podcast. So, Andrew, not a lot of stuff happening in terms of the NHL news normally covered on this show. So I wanted to look at the standings. Specifically, I just want to look at hot and cold starts. We're not going to look at every team, but I'm bringing up the standings here. One team that I would say is to me on doing pretty good right now, and I would say is a little bit surprising, is Detroit. What do you think of Detroit right now? They're in their 5 games, 4 wins, 1 loss.
Yeah, a little bit of a surprising start. That being said, the Yzer plan has had tons of time to finally get into effect. So this does feel like the year for them where it's either it needs to finally come together or otherwise I think they're going to be forced to make some changes. And even though I will die salty about 2001, I do think the league is better when Detroit is competitive. So good for them.
Yes, we're really good for them. Are there any teams in the East that you're surprised of with their record that you see?
The Capitals a little bit. I think they are good, but I believe that they're 4-1 right now, if I'm not mistaken.
They are.
So I expected them to have a little bit of a fall off, maybe still be, take the third place in the Metro, maybe even slip into a wild card spot. But so far they've been proving me wrong because I thought they were a little bit of merchants of the Ovechkin hype last year. And then obviously the Canes dispatched them fairly. You don't want to say easy and disrespect them, but I think with how most of the talking heads were talking about that series, they were thinking that the Canes were just going to get out muscled by them, and they beat them in 5 games. So I really thought they were going to have a fall off. Yeah, but I thought Washington would maybe taper off a little bit after their showing in the playoffs, but so far they've been not a pleasant surprise because obviously we hate the Caps, but I mean,
Yep.
they're not going away. They're not going away.
They really aren't. And there's a reason why us Canes fans call them the Capitals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
um, I would say another team, and this is a team that has really surprised me, but they're at the very bottom of the Eastern Conference, and it is the Tampa Bay Lightning. What are your thoughts on them?
Probably just age finally catching up to him a little bit. That being said, we've seen it with teams like Edmonton where they get off to a slow start. I would not count the Lightning out yet, but that being said, if you're a team like Carolina that maybe at the deadline is looking to make a big acquisition, a team like Tampa struggling and maybe needing to realize that their window closed, and if they don't want to go through their own dark ages, they may have to move off some pretty significant pieces. Could be interesting.
It really, really could from Tampa. I mean, it's early in the season, obviously. Same thing with like Detroit and Washington. It's still early. you never know what's going to happen because we still have the majority of the season to play of. But that's kind of the teams I kind of wanted to talk about in the East. Now I want to talk about the West here for a second. One team I would say that is a little bit surprising me, Andrew, is actually Seattle. In their 5 games, they've won 3 and lost 2 in overtime. That's a pretty good start for a team. What are your thoughts on Seattle, Andrew?
Yeah, 3-2, a bit of a surprising start. That being said, they've got some young talent on that team. I don't think anyone has really broken through to be a superstar, maybe outside of Dracord. Kind of a hidden gem in the league as far as goaltending goes, but it's still early. We'll see what happens, but I've always kind of liked them. I'm a big teal guy, so I love their jerseys, and yeah, good start. Very good start for them.
Yeah, it really is. And just to let you guys know, if you're watching this or listening to this, might have some technical difficulties as we've experienced. Just letting you guys know right off the bat here. But um, what team in the West has surprised you, Andrew? Whether it's good or bad?
Probably the Kings. Honestly, I feel like they're kind of in that same uh, tier as Carolina, where maybe not like one of the bona fide cup favorites as far as what the national media is saying. I mean, I know Vegas has us as the favorites, but I feel like they do that every year. But a bit of a slow start. That's a team filled with veterans who know how to win. I think they'll put it together, but I think the sluggish start they've had, especially with all the motivation of how the last 4 playoffs have gone for them. I think their slow start's been a little surprising.
Yeah, it kind of has. Now, I think recently one of their best players in Anze Kopitar, he got hurt, so that's kind of going to hurt them a little bit, but it still is a little bit surprising. So that was just us taking a look at the Western and Eastern Conference. Again, just wanted to talk on just a few teams here. But now we're going to talk about the Hurricanes. And Andrew, uh, one player I want to talk about, Jackson Blake, apparently he was fined in the Anaheim game, and it was a slash. I did see the play. I was like, I will admit, I was surprised Jackson Blake did that just a little bit.
Yeah, he's never really given us an inkling that he would be that kind of player. Not that it was like overly dirty, but that being said, a few games ago he got into a bit of a scuffle with a guy a lot bigger than him. So I think he's taken that notion that the Canes need to play tougher to heart, which good on him. And I have no problem with the fine, but if that's a finable play, then Jacob Trouba should be in bankruptcy right now. That's crazy.
Yes, I do agree with that. I really, really do. But I just wanted to mention the whole fine thing. The next thing, though, I found this so awesome. But on the NHL website, if you guys have not read it, I encourage you guys to read it because it does involve the Hurricanes. But there was an article posted with all the players taking a poll on who was or which building was the toughest amongst all the teams. And guess who was sitting at the top, Andrew? It was Carolina's Lenovo Center. It received the most votes for the toughest building to play against. The second was the Bell Center, which was Montreal. To me, that does not surprise me. But Andrew, I'm very happy that I would say mostly pretty happy that teams find it hard to play here at Lenovo Center.
Yeah, I think their home record, both in the regular season and playoffs, speaks for itself. I can say, as a relocated Caniac who's been to the majority of the arenas in the Northeast, there's definitely a special energy that the Caniacs bring. In particular, I know this doesn't affect them on the ice, but after a win, the parking lot at Lenovo, that's a special type of happy vibe. All the Ric Flair woos going back and forth. Yep. I've been to games at TD Garden and Madison Square Garden where, it's a good vibe when their team wins and everything, but it's just there's something special about what the Caniacs do. So I'm very happy that we're getting recognition from the league like that. And y'all deserve it. You can tell through the TV that there's an energy there that just isn't quite duplicated by other arenas.
Yeah, completely agree. And I would say on the there's another side to this too, because apparently part of what made it hard to play Lenovo was the locker room specifically for the visitor team. And it seems like teams that come to Lenovo do not like the visiting locker room at all. And when I saw that entry, I was like, well, you know what? Hopefully it gets improved because we know there are renovations taking place currently at Lenovo. So maybe that's an issue that can be fixed.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you want these top tiered athletes to have all the amenities they need, because even the other team, I want us to beat them when they're at their best.
Yes.
But that being said, if you look back on the history of hockey and just all the little things that ownerships would do to get an advantage, like, locker rooms not having hot water, the towels all being starchy, all that kind of stuff. I've never been in the opposing locker room, but having played high school basketball in the Carolinas and been in some really dingy locker rooms, I really don't have a lot of time to listen to these guys cry about it. I'm sure it's just fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just it's that kind of concept that you kind of a little bit touched on. Like, I want people to present the right reasons of why it's tough to play at Lenovo, not the amenities part, but just like the actual game itself. So, but I thought that was a very cool article. I encourage you guys to read it, as it's more in depth and all that type of stuff. But now I want to get into milestones here, because we have hit quite a bit of milestones with a couple of our players, particularly in Seth Jarvis, as he got his 100th goal against Anaheim. Not only that, but he also is the first player in NHL history, Andrew, NHL, with 4 game-winning goals in the team's first 5 games of the season. I know that's very specific, but that's pretty cool, I think.
It is specific, and the game-winning goal stat, a lot of times it's kind of not a fake stat, but you can win a game 5-1, whoever just happened to score that second goal, it's still the game winner.
Yeah.
With Seth, these have been like legitimate, like clutch, putting them over the hump goals.
Oh yeah.
So that just makes that historic stat even better. And considering I don't think he's even really gotten to the best side of his game, that just shows the compete that he has, that he and with Aho, when the game's on the line, even if they've had a tough game, their ability to put it together for one play to lift this team over, they're the face of the franchise, man. And they're still figuring it out a little bit, but if that's the core that we're going to be building around, this team's going to be good for a long time.
Oh, they definitely are. Jarvis is only 23 years old, and he is already looking like he can be a 40-goal scorer, I think, this season.
Well, he's on pace to eclipse that. So.
Yeah, he is. I love it. I really, really do. The next player I want to talk about is our captain, Jordan Staal. In the Sharks game, he actually played his 900th game with the Hurricanes, so that's very impressive. And I consider that very impressive, considering only Ron Francis, Glenn Wesley, and Eric Staal are the only other Canes players to do so. So Jordan Staal, he has a very, very good career here. He's not the best offensive player, but I think he's probably one of the best defensive centers still in this league. What are your thoughts on that, Andrew?
Yeah, definitely. Still think, if there's a 1-goal lead with a minute left and then their team's pulling their goalie, there's few guys I'd rather have on the ice than Jordan. Still a great faceoff guy. And, I think some people see that he's not a big, rah, yelling at his teammates type of leader,
Yeah.
but he's one of those guys that just does every little detail perfectly. And from everything we've heard about how he is, with how he trains, how he takes care of his body, things like that are infectious when it comes from a guy who's, not on the top line, not, getting all the press and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's a great leader. And, I think we should take a minute to really appreciate what he's done for this franchise, because when he got here, he was looking forward to playing with his brother Eric, and it was
Mm-hmm.
going to be such a cool story. And sadly, it did not work out, and he had to really kind of take kind of a lot of the blame for the dark ages, because he was, he was the next coming of Stahl. He was supposed to be part of this, dynamic duo that didn't pan out. So I do think there's a time to critique and say maybe things could be better about the team. But as Caniacs, I think we should all take this moment to really just pause and appreciate what this man has meant to this franchise and this city.
He really, really has. And Brittamore, I'm sure, will tell you 100% how much Stahl is one of the biggest factors here, both on the ice and in the locker room. And I mean, kind of like what he said, he's probably not the most outspoken guy, but it shows you don't need to be outspoken to be a great leader. And that's what you have in Jordan Stahl. And I have no doubt in his leadership qualities. I think he really is part of that huge leadership team in the locker room. He also got 300 goals last night in his career. So good for Jordan Stahl there.
Yeah, 300 goals, and he's actually off to a pretty impressive offensive start to this season. I think Carrier has really unlocked his scoring touch, so hopefully that line keeps going.
Yeah, definitely. So that's kind of it I want to talk about with Hurricanes news, Andrew. But now we'll get to a sponsor first, and then we'll recap both the Anaheim and then the LA Kings game. Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins with DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Your game day instincts can score you real money fast. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats, from breakout rookies to elite quarterbacks, and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks, with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This season, play your players' instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN. Play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside. In partnership with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. All right, Andrew. So heading into the Anaheim game, we get word that Mark Jankowski stays in the lineup and KK stays out. So that made it 2 consecutive games in a row for KK going out. And I'm already hearing from Hurricane fans, and I would say I do want your opinion on this because I don't think everybody's in 100% agreement on it. But it is curious to see a guy, because I think KK's played decently before he got scratched, to see him get scratched for 2 games in a row. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Jankowski played good in this in his first game. So maybe, sometimes you don't want to mess with the lineup after a win, just kind of based on principle. But also, KK is a guy where, I think whatever Rod can do to try to spark him, that might be the thought here, because I do think, I don't want to question his compete or his effort, because obviously you don't get to this level of the sport without those 2 things. But there's times where it seems like the skills there's just a little bit of a fire that's missing from him. So, losing his second line center spot, which they really kind of held out for him for a long time, and now there's Stankov and this new smaller kid taking it from him. If that didn't get it going, well, then maybe watching a few games from the press box will.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of thought it kind of did spark him as we'll get to the Kings game. I thought he played pretty decent in that game. But Mark
Definitely.
Jankowski, he played in the Anaheim game. And in the first period, Andrew, again, we already talked about Seth Jarvis. He scores the first goal for Carolina as there was a juicy rebound right in front of Dostal, and Jarvis was able to get it kind of short side there. Excellent goal. And in the second period, to have Jarvis scoring again from Blake and and Ghost, and that was on the power play, which is probably the best power play I would say so far in these 5 games. Andrew, I'm telling you that the power play's been struggling. It really has.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of overthinking. Something I've been kind of noticing is, especially with Aho, and if we go back to when Rantanen was on the team, it seemed like Aho, and I do think this is a leadership quality that he might just be leading too much into. I think he really cares about getting his teammates going. So it seems like he's really trying hard to make Ehlers pop off, which, he's done everything but score. So I think there might be a little bit of that where they're not, just playing their game the way they're supposed to. There's a bit of overthinking. But as far as the Jarvis goals go, Ghost got an assist on the power play one, but that first goal was created by a well-timed pinch by him where he cuts off the breakout and just puts it on net, and then Jarvis is able to finish it. So um, Ghost, hopefully he's okay, because he honestly might be the best player in these 5 games.
Yeah, he's arguably one of the best. I agree with you absolutely. And obviously, you do have Leo Carlson scoring. And Andrew, you and I know Anaheim, they have a very, very good lethal offense. They probably have a decent chance of making the playoffs. So I I was probably going to be a little bit surprised if we were able to shut Anaheim out, but we didn't. Obviously, Carlson scores. But honestly, I mean, we have Anderson in that game. I actually thought so far, when it comes to Anderson's performance, that was his best game.
I would have to agree. Even though that goal, I think looking back on it, there was a bit of it was a 2-on-1.
It was.
Walker's in the middle. I think he maybe should have guarded the pass more than the shot, because when you have a goalie like Freddie, sometimes you just gotta let the goaltender do his job. And I think because he did that, and you have Kreider coming down the other side, and as we've discussed before, Freddie definitely sees Chris Kreider in his nightmare still. So I think there might have been a little over anticipating the pass, and then a shot that I think 9 out of 10 times he stops, manages to trickle through. But if that's the biggest blemish in your game, then that's a good performance from your goaltender.
It really is. And also, I think if you compare that Anaheim game to his previous games, he had to work a lot more in that game. And he showed it with his games.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like, with more of the newer defensemen having to step up with Slavin out and now with Ghost out, you're definitely starting to see a little bit certainly not bad defense, but it's a little bit sloppy. Guys are having to play in more situations than they might have, and when that happens, your goaltending has to step up, which both Freddie and Bussy have done a great job so far.
They really have. And then at the end of the second period, Andrew, I had to bring this up. That huge scrum that ended the period. And again, I just found it odd that Anaheim was the team that went with the power play coming into the third, because again, I can't remember the Anaheim player's name that started it all, but he didn't go to the box at all, which surprised me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Carlson.
Yeah, Carlson.
Yeah, he loses the draw and basically uppercuts Stankoven. Yeah, and then I mean, kudos to him. For a smaller guy, it can be very easy for him as a centerman to develop a reputation of that's something that you can do to him. Frankly, the Canes kind of have that frankly unfair reputation to begin with. So
yeah,
I'm proud of him for answering the bell and standing up for himself. Good on Keandre for absolutely body slamming that dude. But I would love to see a goalie fight from this team. I think Chekhov might be the guy to do it. But Freddie, you are not the one, man. You are not the one. I'm sure you're a tough dude, but man, as soon as I saw him leave his crease, my heart stopped. I was like, oh, here it comes.
He's too important. He's too important to get hurt in the fight.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was funny watching Dostal come down, and he gives him a quick shove, and then they definitely had that kind of moment that you see in hockey sometimes where the whole team's fighting and you just don't want to look like you were watching it, so they basically just hug and like
yeah. What's funny, that scrum a little bit reminded me, I think it was Carolina against maybe Boston, but there was a huge scrum as well. And I remember the Boston goalie came down. He didn't fight with Cam Ward or anything, but they were just both looking at the whole scrum. It just reminded me of that game for some reason. You might know what I'm talking about or not.
Yeah, I don't remember that exact play, but I do think, there is sort of just this mystique that comes with goalie fights. And, if you're someone who grew up playing hockey, you definitely, were brought up on, the highlights of, old school hockey. And even though the sport has kind of gotten away from that fighting, just a fight, there's no doubt that the goalies know that if they were to do that, then that moment will kind of live on forever. So again, I could definitely see Chekhov being the guy to do it, but but Freddie, I appreciate the thought, buddy, but never again.
Yeah, I listen, I completely agree with that. I'd rather you stay healthy and in net than participate in any sort of fight. But obviously in the third period, Andrew, we have our rookie defenseman. I put asterisk on rookie just because he is a very naturally gifted player. But Nikishin, he finally gets his first NHL goal. I was very happy with the shot. I was also very happy and impressed with the play that Aho made to get Nikishin the opportunity to make a bomb like that. What are your thoughts on that play?
Yeah, you like seeing that chemistry with a newer player like that, because it's not like he was posted up on the blue line waiting. He saw Aho cycling back up the wall and noticed that there was just a huge opening in the slot and took it, and Aho put it right in his wheelhouse, and he absolutely crushes that shot. His offensive upside is crazy, man. I think the more and more comfortable he gets, and especially as he learns when to kind of not give up on a play, but sometimes it's better just to put the puck in deep than it is to try to dance around a guy, even if you have that ability to do it. The sky is really the limit for this kid. I am all about us hopping on the Nikishin bandwagon. There's a lot of things we've seen 5 games in that I'm like, maybe we need to pump the brakes a tad. It's only been 5 games. No, this kid looks like he's a natural fit, and you can tell why he was a captain of a team in probably the second best league in the world, because he's got some natural, obviously he's not doing a lot of talking right now, but leading by example. He's been standing up for teammates, throwing big hits, and that slap shot is Chara-esque.
It really is. I'm happy you brought up the talking, just because that quote that he made at the end of the game. Love it. Just love it, man. Forecheck.
Forecheck, block shot. Yeah, just that is the second best quote, only behind when he met Rod, and Rod was doing his whole thing, like vibrating while he's standing still, but he was like, you can speak a little bit of English, but hockey. I know hockey. Like, yes.
Yeah, yes. I love it. And I don't know if you heard Tripp's story, because Tripp brought it up, I think, in one of the intermissions, but Tripp went up to Tripp Tracy went up to Nikishin, and I think it ended with Nikishin saying, "You like?" and Tripp's like, "No, I love." Mm-hmm. I love Tripp, man.
Yeah, he's such a goof, but we're lucky to have him, man. You can tell the kid does have a little bit of natural charisma to him.
He
Like
does.
even though he's doing broken English, there's a confidence he has when speaking. So I think as he adjusts to life here in America, and I'm glad he's got Svetch, who kudos to him. He's picked up the English language very very well, which is not an easy thing to do. So he's obviously a pretty sharp guy. So I'm happy he's got some people who can help him along. But yeah, I think he's going to be a face of this franchise very very soon.
Yeah, and I agree with Tripp. He does look a little bit like Ivan Dracoff from Rocky Four. So,
If he
um,
dies, he dies.
yep. I love it. I love it. And obviously, just to round out the whole game, Aho scores from Jarvis. Aho was able to get the rebound that Jarvis shot at Dossel, and this game ends 4-1 against Anaheim. And now let's get to the Kings game, Andrew. And there are a couple changes. Jankowski, he's out for this game, so that means KK is back in, and Brandon Bussey is in net. I'm telling you, Brandon Bussey, Andrew, he's playing freaking tastic.
You never know where you're going to get your opportunities. It's just a matter of if you're able to seize it when it comes along. And he's putting the Canes in a bit of a predicament here, because who knows how long PK is going to be out. We all know how good PK can be. We also know how he can just fall off suddenly. So if Bussey keeps this up, it's going to be really interesting to see how they decide to handle the goaltending moving forward.
I know. I had a friend text me yesterday during the game, be like, Kochetkov could be out of a job by the end of this road trip.
Well, this is why guys play hurt, because we often think of the minor leagues as like it's a subpar league, but no, there's probably 2 or 3 guys on every minor league team that if they get put in the right situation, not just making the team, but happen to get put on the right line with the right teammates and things click, you can do nothing wrong other than be a human being that's made out of flesh and bone, and then you lose your spot. That's just the cruel reality of pro sports. So I'm a big Kochetkov fan. I love aggressive goaltending, but get well soon, and we'll see what happens. But Bussey, I'm very impressed with him. Very impressed.
Yes, and in the first period, and I'm sure you're watching the obviously the Hurricanes broadcasting feed, right, for the Kings game.
Yes.
They didn't even start the clock when Jordan Stahl scored his first goal. It was that quick. It was 12 seconds into the game, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, this Stahl line is, I would say, in these past 5 games, the Stahl line has been, to me, obviously the best line for the Hurricanes.
Oh, and by a pretty significant margin too.
Yes.
Man, a healthy Carrier has made all the difference, and then that line's been great no matter who else has been on there, whether it's been Svetch, Jarvis, Fost, but Carrier really seems like he's just another Martin Hook type player. So that line's going to wear teams down. You're not going to be able to score against them, and if Jordan, who his stats don't always reflect this, but he finds himself in good scoring position all the time. And if he can just, he can just bring up that shooting percentage a little bit, that could be one of the big things that helps this team finally get over the hump this year.
It really, really could. And obviously you have Stahl scoring again. And I mean, like, it's kind of like what you said. Like, he finds himself in these good opportunities. Now, the second goal, I think it was Forsberg who was in that for the Kings. He probably should have had that second goal because it leaked right through him. But it's such a simple play because you have Carrier, Martinook, who are using behind the net methods, obviously, of getting the puck to obviously Jordan Stahl, and he is able to find that open spot to put the puck in the back of the net. It really is simple hockey. It just, they make it simple.
Yeah, they call it Gretzky's office for a reason,
Yep.
because it works. I think that's a tactic that the whole team in general should have been utilizing more, kind of this whole time. But you force the goalie to have to be aware of what's behind him, and then all of a sudden it's coming out front. It's a proven method, and if it's allowing guys like Stahl to score at this rate, then just imagine if they do that more with like Ehlers or Aho. So again, that line leads by example. Usually it's not pretty, but they've been getting rewarded for their effort, and you love to see it.
Yes, I really, really do. And like I love the Stahl line playing great. And I would say probably my frustration, and you could maybe say the last 5 games or the LA game, it's just that like obviously we're looking for the Stanley Cup. We're aiming to win the cup.
Mm-hmm.
And while I love the Stahl line and they're doing so good, you look at the Aho line, the Stankoven line. Like those lines should be better offensively than the Stahl line. So that came up to me while watching the LA game throughout, just because I didn't see as many good opportunities, or I would say I didn't see the same effort from the top 6 as we usually see from the Stahl line. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
I think that's a fair assessment. I never want to question a guy like Aho or Stankoven's effort. I do think, as I mentioned before, I think we saw this with Ranson, and I do think Aho is maybe trying to force things a bit with Ehlers to try to get him going, because he's done everything but score. I know some of the fans are kind of on him. I think he's played great, and the fact that they've gone 5-0 without him or Spetch, who I think is a bigger concern than
Yes, I would
anything in the
completely
top stuff.
agree.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern right now. Though I do have faith in him to figure it out. But I think Aho is just maybe taking his leadership role not too seriously, but too one-sided in terms of what he's supposed to do. He wants to get the new guy going. He wants to get him feeling good. And that second line, Stankoven's having to learn how to play center in the NHL. There's been some games where it's been good. I forget which one. It might have been the Anaheim game where I think he lost 9 out of 10 faceoffs at one point.
Yeah,
So
he did.
there's a bit of a learning curve there. I think when you look at the advanced metrics, you see that they do have the puck a lot. So they are doing that side of it, and you just have to wait for the talent to gel. And you know what, maybe it's a simple thing of, maybe it's sort of like how, for whatever reason, Aho and Svech have never entirely clicked. Maybe that's just unfortunately the case with Ehlers. Maybe he'll be better playing with, Stankoven, or maybe KK gets bumped up there and it clicks. But the talent and the resume speaks for themselves. It's just a matter of giving it time to really gel. And when your bottom 6 is standing out the way that it has, I feel like it almost puts a bigger microscope on those lines. But
it does.
Yeah, but I'm not at the point of a concern yet. Just kind of try to look for small steps in the right direction, because
it is 5 games. It really is.
Yeah. We still have over seven. We still have a good like 50, 60 games before we're even talking about playoff matchups and contention, all that kind of stuff. So I would say pump the brakes a bit on the sky is falling with the top 6, but that being said, it is getting kind of to the point where we need to see them at least show some consistency here.
Definitely. Now in the second period, I mean KK, like I was very impressed with that goal. It was forehand, backhand, top shelf, excellent goal. But I'm telling you, the play made to get KK the puck by Miller, 2 great plays. One, he was able to make a great defensive play by knocking the puck out of the Kings player stick, and he made a sneaky pass, just a sneaky, wonderful pass to KK. So 2 plays right there. Miller is becoming one of my favorite defensemen, Andrew.
Oh, same. And considering how we've seen some really good D-men come in here and really struggle to pick up this system, how just seamlessly he's fit in. It's a credit to him, and it's a credit to the front office for really scouting this guy appropriately, because everything out of New York, which the New York media is an absolute cesspool.
Yeah,
Even Rangers fans will be happy to tell you that is they were making it sound like that this move was going to sink the whole franchise. But he's an incredible skater. He's aggressive in the offensive zone, and his poke checking ability. It's no one in the league comes close to Slavin, but I mean he's very impressive with his ability to just softly break up a play, not take a penalty, and then use his speed to go get it, and then they're off to the races. So yeah, I agree. It's not even because we share a name, but Miller is quickly to be becoming one of my favorite guys on the team.
definitely. Now, LA did fight back, and it definitely got me nervous. I would say the first two goals, the Moore and Kuzmenko goal, I do not blame that Bussy at all. I thought it was kind of lucky goals, to be honest. The first goal, the Moore goal, like initially he tried to shoot it, went off, I think, one of our players' skates, hits back right to him. He does a slap shot, scores, and then I think the second goal, I think that was on the power play for LA, but Kuzmenko, I mean, it was a bit of a lucky pass, I would say, there too. The third goal, I think he probably could have had. But what do you think about those LA King goals right there?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Sometimes hockey is just all about putting yourself in position to capitalize on a lucky bounce, which is definitely the first goal. The second goal, if I'm remembering correctly, kudos to Quentin Byfield for that great pass across across the net to set up the tap in. But I don't think either of those you can blame Bussy. And sort of like what we were saying with Freddie in the last game, if you're only going to give up one goal that you go, maybe you could have had that at this level when you're facing this talent. You kind of have to take that. And 2 games in, couldn't be happier with him. He's becoming a fan favorite very quickly.
Yes, he is. Now, 2 more things I want to talk to, and then we're going to end the episode. But one, obviously, after that 3-1 goal, there was the disallowed goal by former Hurricane and Warren Fogle. And I had a few friends with me watching that game. They actually said that should have been a goal. So I actually had to replay that and be like, well, let's see here. I think Fogle, right before the puck entered in the net, kind of hit Bussy's mask. So just from looking at that, I think the call was correct.
I would have to agree. I think some people make the mistake of thinking that the blue paint just means that if the skater isn't in it, that doesn't count. No, it's you have to imagine it almost like it's a dome around the goalie, and you can't go in there and chin check the guy.
Yeah.
And then that's the reason that the goal goes in. So you can maybe make the argument that the timing of when the puck was coming was a little bit close. But that being said, if you're going to make contact with the goalie, especially in his head, they're not going to call that. But that's what Warren Fogle does. He's not a dirty player, but he definitely mixes it up. He's definitely a grinder. I really enjoyed him when he was with the team. I'm glad to see that he's found a spot there in LA. But yeah, it was the right call.
Yep. And then in overtime, you have Jarvis and Aho clicking once again to win it. And really, really a great goal for Jarvis. It was funny because when we got to overtime, I was like, I'm fine with just the 1 point because you're versing against a Western Conference team, completely fine with it. But we're able to get to. What were your thoughts on that goal?
Yeah, I think if you did leave that game knowing they got 5 out of 6 points out of the California trip, you'd be happy. But I mean, Aho, even in a game where I think he didn't play particularly well, again, he just out of pure effort, he puts the puck in a position for Jarvis to take advantage of the bounce. And those two, I think maybe you would have to be worried about when they moved on from Natchez that their dominance in overtime would take a step back. They haven't missed a beat really. So you like seeing those two guys get the payoff at the end. Hopefully that keeps their confidence high because they're definitely fighting it a little bit. But as
they are,
but as long as they're producing and they're doing just enough to get us wins early in the season, I think they'll figure it out.
I do too. I mean, the chemistry between Aho and Jarvis we saw last year was really, really good. There's no reason to doubt that chemistry isn't going to happen again. And what's funny, when that goal happened, I was like, why can't you guys be as good as you're on overtime as 5-on-5? Because again, I was a little bit critical at the end of that guy, especially like third period. I thought it was all LA showing how good they were.
Yeah, definitely. Which, I mean, I think LA is a very good team. I think when you have ghosts go down, obviously your defensemen have to play more minutes, which sometimes, especially if it happens that early in the game, can really sink you. But there's been a couple instances this season where the talent has really been the difference, which there's been seasons in the past where you would look at the Canes and say, not that they had bad players, but that it was really just all their effort that was carrying them over the edge. So them being able to pull off a few wins just on straight up having the better roster, that's a good feeling.
It really, really is. Well, that's it for this episode. Andrew, thank you once again.
Thank you, Sam.
Being a co-host on this episode, like the other episodes before. And we will see you guys Friday.